Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Oldish TV. As always, I'm your host, Karen Brown, and it is my pleasure to be with you today. And today I want to talk about a fairly serious subject that seems to have been increased by virtue of the fact that we are now in this pandemic mode. Bully behavior. Have you ever been bullied? Well, we've done lots of articles about bullying on our website, which is theoldish.com. You can find all of those articles there. Just go to the search bar and type in bully, and you'll find lots of them. Most of them have to do with ageism and caregivers who take advantage, financial people who steal money. There are lots of ways of bullying that happen within groups of people that we do know. But this whole environment has given rise to a number of new bullies that are people that we really don't know. So today I want to talk about bully behavior that we can encounter in our day-to-day lives from people we don't necessarily know, but engage with online. It has become quite a problem in our society. Let me be clear right off the bat. There is never an excuse for bully behavior. Never, never, no exceptions. That is my belief. It's a value proposition, and it is one that I hold to be true 100% of the time. The world as we have seen it now, though, has become very divided by politics, by people who choose to wear masks and those who don't, by people who think we should defund the police and those who think otherwise. There are racial and cultural divides. It just seems endless. I was listening to a podcast, a series of podcasts yesterday. I was driving a bit, and one of the podcasts told a story of RuPaul. Now, I don't know if you know RuPaul. He's an American drag queen, entertainer, TV personality. Whether or not you agree with his brand of entertainment, the story of how he came up in the entertainment world, I found really quite interesting. And at one point, as he was coming up in the entertainment industry, the story was told about how he, as a black man, was bullied by white people for being black, by black people for being gay, and by gay people for being too femme. So bullying sort of defined his life. It was everywhere around him. In the same podcast, but another episode, there was a story about Lady Gaga. Now, you all know who Lady Gaga is, right? As a teenager, she was different. Music defined her life. She was short, tended to be a little on the overweight side. She had a big nose. It made her fodder for her peers to bully. And they sure did. At one point, a bunch of teenagers picked her up and put her in a garbage can. Who does that? I don't know who does that, but man, even in college, it followed her. She was gigging around in nightclubs in the town where she went to college. And somebody on the college campus started a Facebook group. Don't remember the name of it. They said the name of it. But it was a tone of, who does she think she is? I'll bet they're kicking themselves now. But, bullying has defined her life to a large extent. If you listen to other interviews with her, she admits to having self-esteem problems. And, I'm sure a lot of that came from the bullying that she endured. This kind of thing, the Facebook groups that bully lead me into the online world of bully behavior. I have an acquaintance on Facebook. I would say he's a kid, but I've known him since he was quite young. He's late 20s or early 30s. He's still a Facebook friend, but I don't really see him that often. But he has been an avid anti-masker. Fine, he's entitled to his opinion, but I disagree. The other day, about a week ago, he needed groceries. And so he did a Facebook Live. He actually took the time to do a Facebook Live to say he needed groceries and he was not going to wear a mask, and he just dared people to confront him. You could just tell he was like itching for the battle. And even when he stopped the Facebook Live, he stayed at his computer for quite some time before going shopping to answer people who chose to engage with him. Now, some people were saying yay, but most people were saying, you're attention seeking. Why would you do that? It's the law and it's just to protect other people. And he was battling back. So as it turns out, there was no confrontation. He went to the grocery store and the person who was cleaning carts at the entrance stopped him and said, "Sir, we require that a mask be worn. Would you like one?" And this man said, "No, not going to wear one." And he went into the grocery store, got his groceries, paid for his groceries, came back out and got in the car and did another Facebook Live just to bring everybody up to date on his story. And, he actually sounded quite disappointed that the confrontation that he was just ready for and hoping for didn't happen. Seemed kind of odd, but our worlds have become smaller. And as we, or some of us, I am, are very careful about where we go and who we engage with, we do find that we're getting more of our engagement and information and disinformation on social platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. That, though, has given birth to a whole new army of what I like to call keyboard warriors. I didn't coin that phrase, but keyboard warriors, people who will say things in an online environment that they would never say in person, face to face. They would never talk this way. They might express an opinion, but it would be kinder and gentler, and they wouldn't be so avid about it. I've had a couple of encounters recently on the internet. Once in a public group. I'm going to read this to you because this is a public group that I belong to. So it's not private, but it's public and rather limited. But the admin posted, "If the whole world would put on masks covering their mouth and nose when they were not able to physical distance or when they were indoors in public places, COVID-19 would be gone in 2 to 3 weeks." Well, I thought that's quite the claim. I'm interested in the subject. So I responded to the post and asked for the evidence-based science where he got this information from. And I had to repeat the request several times as he posted opinions and articles, but never any evidence for his claim. I was accused along the way by other people who posted of being an anti-masker. One posted and said, "So are you also against vaccines?" I was told to stay home if I didn't like the idea of wearing a mask. They weren't all negative, though. I did get some positive comments of people who just said, "Look, she's just asking for evidence to support the original poster's claim." And I got private messages thanking me for engaging so patiently with idiots. That too is bullying. So, but anyway, the person I'm thinking of in particular was a self-proclaimed science nerd, and he thanked me for carrying on despite the pushback that I was getting. 71 comments later from him, from me, and from other people, he posted and said, "Well, it's not my idea. It's an idea that some intelligent people thought of, and I thought it sounded great, so I posted it." Well, that was the end of the discussion. It wasn't his opinion at all. It was somebody else's opinion that he had adopted. And because he didn't formulate the opinion, he wasn't able to back it up with anything. So that just ended the conversation. I had another encounter about 2 weeks ago with somebody I don't know. We have friends in common, but I kind of know his work. Anyway, he's a C-list comedian. That's how I would define him. A C-list Canadian comedian who makes video content and posts it. And some of them are pretty interesting. And this particular one I took exception to. Again, it was about masks, because isn't everybody posting about masks these days? He posted a video, and the first half of it was okay. It was about, wear a mask and this is how you wear a mask and all that jazz. Then he said, "So how do you deal with people when you encounter them who don't want to wear masks?" And he launched into this verbal tirade of bullying and belittling and shaming anyone who didn't conform with his way or at least what he thought was his way. Now, at that point, wearing masks was not mandatory in the health unit of the area that he lives in. Subsequent to that, it has become mandatory to wear masks indoors. At the time, it was not mandatory, so people still had free will. Not saying whether I agree or not. I don't disagree with wearing masks, let's be clear. But some people do. And he was publicly shaming them for not conforming to what his idea was, despite the fact that this was not supported by the health units at that point. Here's my response to him, which had nothing to do with masks or not masks. I wrote, I can't tell you how much I disagree with bullying and belittling people over any issue. It's never okay. No exceptions. Nobody ever changed their mind about something because someone called them names and made them feel less than. I don't disagree with wearing face coverings at all. However, what people need is education about how to wear and handle them properly. Now, this video was a case of somebody using bully behavior to get cheap laughs. That's his brand of comedy. And, I guess that's okay, except when you go into the realm of name calling. I mean, there's lots of cheap comedy out there where, people make fun of a thing or a situation, or they make fun at their own expense. That's fine. But if you want to promote bullying and belittling other people, that crosses a line for me. So it was that video and my comment to him that there was a lack of education that really prompted me to do the last two episodes of the Oldish TV. You can watch them. The first is all about how to properly wear and handle a mask. And then last week we did an update on masks and furnace filters. Anyway, that encounter took place, as I said, with this comedian on Twitter. And many of his followers responded by bullying me. What a surprise. 2 weeks later, I still get comments that are bullying and harassing from some of his followers. Like they won't let it go. I also, though, get positive comments of people that agree with me. 24 hours after I posted my response to his video, which I just read to you, he tweeted back to me and said, Karen, I agree with you. And I'm going to work with healthcare professionals and do another video that describes how to properly deal with masks because this is a really important issue. Well, it's been 2 weeks and I'm still waiting for that video to come from him. I know that, videos take time to produce. I get it. I do videos myself. But he has posted other videos in the interim, just not that one. These are two examples of bully behavior online. One hoping to get something started and another promoting bully behavior as a way to support his opinion and get cheap laughs. There are other examples out there. I'm sure you have all encountered that sort of thing. But what can we do about it? Well, I'm someone who believes that if someone is being bullied and I do nothing about it, I'm part of the problem. Online, I do choose my battles, and I'll tell you why. It's not because I view myself as part of the problem if I don't. Like, I don't feel an obligation to engage always. With people that I know who are my actual friends, really friends, I mean, I actually know them face to face, I will engage and I will explain to them why I think this is bully behavior. And I do it kindly. I don't belittle them in the process. I do try to do it kindly. Surprisingly, I find that people who will rail against bully behavior in most other circumstances will post memes and will engage in bully behavior about something else. And they don't seem to understand that the two are connected. As I said, this is a value proposition for me. And it's a value that you either hold or you don't. There's no real gray area in this. There's no gray area at all. You either support bully behavior or you don't. That's it. And I think most people would say they do not support bully behavior. But that being said, there's a tremendous amount of it out there. People sharing memes, sharing articles that belittle and berate people. I tend not to engage in discussions when it's something online that's been posted by a newspaper or media outlet. That's like huge. And it's something that generates a lot of comments, like two, three, four, 500 comments. People are going down rabbit holes and having side conversations. And really, I don't want to get into that nest of hornets. I really don't. That it's not going to change anybody's opinion. I have a better chance of engaging with somebody that I really do know and pointing something out to them and maybe changing their opinion a little bit, but I have no chance in that sort of, 400 comment discussion where people are going off on side discussions and down rabbit holes. So I tend not to engage in that. I will engage in groups that I belong to, primarily because most groups have rules. And if I see something that is bully behavior, I will comment on it and express why I believe it's bully behavior and it's inappropriate. I'm not unkind, but I am direct. If it persists, then I will use one of the options that Facebook gives us, and that is to report the post to the admin. And I would encourage all of you to do that as well. Groups have rules and they need to be adhered to. Most times I do get action. Most times I'm also not the only one complaining. Facebook is somewhat easier than other platforms. As I say, I don't see too much of it on Instagram. Maybe I follow a different group of people, but because it is more image based, there isn't the text, or at least the text that I'm reading, that seems to be bullying in nature. Twitter is a whole other ballgame. And I've been on Twitter for a long, 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 long time. Um, I don't respond to people who hide behind false names. Twitter allows you to use a pseudonym. Don't respond to that. The default profile picture is just a gray head outline. I don't respond to people who don't use a real picture of themselves because they're hiding. In case you haven't noticed these days, Karen, not a very popular name. You notice that? Karens are people who are seen as demanding and entitled. And I think it comes from a Dane Cook sketch, comedy program way back, like I'm thinking 2005 or five or six, something like that. Um, so, when I comment on something and it's Karen, because I use my real name, Karen, then you know what I get. Oh, it's a Karen. Look at that. Karen's being a Karen. Anyway, as I said, I don't respond to people who don't use their real name. I don't respond to people who don't have a profile picture of themselves on Twitter. I just see these as people who are cowards who will say anything and they're getting attention. Doesn't matter how disrespectful it is. They think that they're hiding because nobody can find them. I'm sure they could be found. I just choose not to give any energy to it because they don't deserve it. I just carry on. People who wish to engage responsibly and respectfully are people I will engage with. I don't mind opinions that are different from mine. I really don't. Um, and in fact, there are people who will unfollow or unfriend or disengage with people who don't share their opinions. I think, there's a matter of extremes. I don't necessarily believe in doing that. On Twitter, I follow lots of people, so their posts can get buried, I suppose. But I don't mind having the other side of the argument brought forward as long as it's done respectfully. I might learn something, and I do learn things. So I don't mind that, but it has to be respectful. It has to not be bully behavior. So, I just don't want to engage with that. I think that we all have to understand in the end that bullies are people with low self-esteem. And I've heard people say they get their giggles. I don't really think they get their giggles. I think they feel big and powerful when they have an opportunity to say something that in their mind should make the other person feel smaller and weaker and less than. And they will pick on people who demonstrate that they're weaker, for sure. But it's not a feeling that lasts for them. If it was something that really did make them feel bigger, then they wouldn't do it with their next post or tweet or whatever they're doing. But they do. That's just who they are. So how they feel and how they act is their problem. How we respond to it is our problem. That's how I choose to look at it. Facebook provides us with tools to unfriend someone if we really don't want to be a friend of theirs anymore, whether we really are in real life or not. It also provides us with a tool to unfollow someone. So if you're on Facebook, as you are now, when you go to your personal page and you see a person that you know, look to the right in their little post box and you'll see three dots. Click on those three dots and another little menu will drop down. You may have to drop down another, like other options or something, but you will see the option to unfollow. Now you can unfollow someone without unfriending them. So they are still your friend. You're just choosing not to see their comments in your feed for a while until you decide that you've had enough of a breath and you go back and you can follow them again or not. It's entirely up to you. I definitely have people in my Facebook friend list that I unfollow for various reasons. And I'll go, sometimes go back and forth with them. That's fine. In groups, of course, posts can be reported, as I just indicated, or we can just leave the group. The same is true of pages. You just have to unlike the page. Now, it would certainly be my hope that you don't unlike this page. In fact, I would like you to like this page so that you continue seeing our content. And if you have any subjects that you want us to deal with, zing them my way. I'm happy to see them. So as I had said before, go to theoldish.com where you can see all of our articles. You can engage with us there by just reading the latest content and seeing what is up there. We post about 6 new articles a week. We have a wonderful writer whose name is Heather Meir, and she posts all of these terrific articles for us. And here on the Oldish TV, we welcome you to join us again next Wednesday at 12 o'clock noon Eastern Time. We will see you. If you have any comments, leave them below. I do respond, as those of you who have followed us for a time will know. You can also private message me. I get lots and lots of private messages. But until we see each other again next Wednesday at 12 noon, I do hope that you will stay well, look after one another. Please do remember that it takes a village to age a senior. Bye, everybody.